Hey guys, my name's Rob. Welcome back, and thanks for coming back. Today we're in the shop because that's where I was when this idea hit me. But what I want to go over is the order of, well, for lack of better terms, the order of operations when you're trying to get this business fired up. Like what you need to start looking at first. And this is through my mistakes, like things that I thought were more important than others. There's actually a process that makes a lot of sense. Like, do I do this first, that first, or whatever? So let's jump into that and see about maybe not putting the chicken before the egg or the horse before the cart. Let's take a look. All right, guys. So I was thumbing through the Dumpster Rental 101 Facebook page, and there was a post on there from a new guy. Like, that's basically what we're all new. That's what we're doing. Man, it's thunder out there. But it was a question about buying vehicles and this and that. And of course, everybody jumped in and was being super helpful, trying to help this dude figure out what he needs to, which way he needs to, point everything at. And someone piped up and said, "Hey, dude, what's your target? Like, what are you trying to do?" And I was like, dude, you know what? That is the most important thing to all this is, what are you trying to do? Number one. Yeah, we know what we're trying to do, like as a whole. It's a dumpster rental business, but the first thing you got to figure out is within the dumpster rental business, like who are we trying to target? So let's throw that up there. Who is our target customer? Now, I know a lot of guys are going to say, I will take whatever, and I will too. If Joe from down the street wants to do a house clean out and he wants a bin, I'm going to put it in his yard. If, Paul that runs the roofing has some shingles, I'm going to work with him and get that done. But when we market our business, and it's just like any business, when you market your business, you got to know who you're trying to sell it to. So that is the number one. Like, who are we trying to sell this thing to? And there may be other things that come into play like that. Like, do you have a complementary business that you are putting with your dumpster rental business? Like for me, I've been thinking about, okay, once I get this thing fired up, like my head's already like next step. Okay, once this thing is going and I can build this nest egg, like how can I diversify these assets into something else? So, maybe some ideas I've thought about are if my like land clearing side and like a lot of brush and stuff, because that's where I live, it happens like a lot. It's really wooded. So if that part of the business really takes off, maybe I'm going to offer stump grinding, or if I'm doing a lot of home remodels or something like that, maybe I'll get into demolition and buy some more equipment and kind of, diversify that portfolio of what these assets look like and what they can do for me. But backing up, who are our target customers? We got to figure out, is it going to be the homeowner? Is it going to be the commercial guy? What are you trying to do? Because that's going to change how you market it and how you can point it to. Now, how you figure this out is hard because you don't really know, but you got to figure out what part of that market around you makes most sense for you. If you are in a place that has like I'm from California, and I don't live in California now, but I'm from California, and Waste Management, the company WM, they ran garbage out there. They ran everything. And if you wanted to break into commercial stuff out there, good luck, because that's who you're competing with. So you kind of need to have a good 1,000-yard picture of your area, and in my mind anyways, your area and who your competition is. That way you can fill a void and point your business in that direction that you can fit, that there's a void. So if junk clean out is a thing in your area that there's nobody doing, that's an avenue. Dang, it's really booming out there. Commercial, if there's no big waste management or something, and you can hit commercial and you can start, and that's honestly where I would start. If your area was not flooded with like the big waste management and Republic and like the guys that like all the hook lifts with 30-yard bins and stuff, if your market wasn't flooded there, that's probably what I would point it at. Just start working towards that. But it's going to be you got to figure this out. Before you buy anything, you got to figure out who you're trying to sell it to. So that's step number one. Who's your target customer? So figure that out first. Okay, so once we've got our target customer figured out, we got to figure out what do our target customers need. If we have decided that we are going to fill a niche with, say, small companies that do in-home remodels. Your best friend is a remodeler, or the guy down the street's a remodeler or whatever, and he's always buying bins from the big companies or whatever, and he's constantly waiting, or it's super expensive or whatever. Find his major gripes and then work at curtailing your business to fill those voids or to fix those problems. So if he's an in-home remodel, you got to think about the things that come with that, like a guy that flips homes or whatever, or a remodeler, the things that they're going to do primarily. So a flipper is probably going to be different than a remodeler. A flipper, they usually try not to do roofs and expensive things if they can. Don't eat me up. I'm in real estate too. But so an in-home remodeler, it's like tile and drywall and carpet, and those are heavy loads. Flippers are probably going to be, much of the same thing, but maybe some yard waste and other things. So figure out what they're trying to do, and then fill your fleet or your equipment void with whatever they need. So if you can get away with a smaller equipment, you could probably do that, but I would always try and get the most equipment that you can afford and the best equipment you can afford. Now, I know a lot of guys started off with dump trailers. I'm starting off with a roll-off, which I think it's the direction I wanted to go anyways. So if you can swing it right up front, get the best thing you can. But after you find your target customer, figure out what their needs are. And all this stuff, guys, this is just talking to people. Now, for me, this is the hardest part, is talking to people. I can talk to this camera all day long, but in person, I'm super reserved, and I kind of got like a little bit of a resting bitch face, so I'm like not super approachable. No one is like, hey, he looks like a cheerful guy, because usually I'm just, my mind is going a million miles an hour, and I don't look super approachable. But so this part's always been the hardest for me, but kind of talking to people, I've been able to find out around here in my area what I need. Like, for example, I've got a neighbor a couple houses down who owns a, that's me pushing a lawnmower, landscaping business. And he was talking to me one day, and he's like, dude, I need a dump trailer. And this is before I bought any of my equipment. It's kind of what the conversation that spurred on a lot of this. And I'm like, what for? And he's telling me, he's like, delivering mulch and spreading gravel and this and that. I'm like, well, just go rent one. He's like, dude, there's nothing around here. And he told me the closest place to rent one. I was like, that is insane. And he's like, man, and I said, I should just buy one. And he's like, if you bought one, you could keep it busy around here. And that's where kind of most of this stemmed from. But he was just offering that information, but you may have to go talk to people, drive by job sites and talk to your friends. And that is an awesome asset too. Most people in our age group, my age group, I'm in my 40s, they're kind of at the point in their life where they're starting to do things, whether it's like, real estate or getting into business, or just, updating their own home, or, taking on bigger projects or what. Because usually, as we get later in life, we have a little bit more expendable income and they're doing things. Talk to your friends and say, hey, do you have a need for this? What's your need? Or just tell them what you're doing, and they will provide that information for you. So figure out what they need, and you can fill that with not only curtailing your business to that direction, as far as like, hey, I need a guy to show up faster, and that could be one of our real strengths. Let me get to that. Let me write that down here so I don't forget it. And then number two part of that is equipment. Do they need dump bins? Dump trailers will work. Do they have? Is it a driveway company that is doing paver driveways and you don't want to destroy the driveways, and a dump trailer would be working better? There's questions there that need to be answered before you can figure it out. The good thing about this business is it can cross paths. You can do a lot of things with a dump bin. You can do with a dump trailer, but there are things you can do with a dump trailer you can't do with a dump bin, and there are things you can do with a bin that you can't do with a trailer. But anyways, that's down the road, and that's for each one of us to figure out based on our specific market. And then I know I'm going back around, but going back to the first part here, how we can fill their needs outside of equipment is how we can curtail our business model. If they are tired of waiting on waste management gives them like a 15-hour delivery window, and they have all these hidden fees and all this other stuff. Yeah, you can really punch a hole in the game by filling those voids. I work with, or I'm going to be working with, a guy that is a new home builder here. And when I told him what I was doing, he's like, dude, there's nobody here that is offering that right now. And there's a reason for that. I don't want to get into it, but and I said, well, what's the beef? Like, what's the thing? He said, dude, it's $900 for a bin. They give me like a 15-hour delivery window, and their fees don't include drops. They have a hazmat fee and like all these other little fees, a credit card fee. And you can have that too, but just roll it up into one number. That way, when you present that number, it's not like, oh, that's fine. And then, 2 days later, they get hit with all these extra fees and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, that's another way. Your target customer, their needs based on equipment, and how we can curtail our business to fill their voids. So after that, let's talk about once we have our customer figured out and our equipment purchased, what are the next steps? And with this part, I'm welcoming feedback with the whole thing, but with this particular part, this is the method or the way or the order that I'm doing it. Right or wrong, I don't know. We'll figure it out together, I guess. Okay, I really hope you can read this, but let me see if, is that any better? There might be a glare on it, but anyways. Okay, so here's the order that I did things in, and as I go through this, I'm going to explain why I did this. First thing, step number 1 is LLC yourself. If you are a guy that has other assets or any assets in your life, you are going to want to protect those from the liability of having a company. There are different ways to do that. The way that I chose is just a one-owner LLC or one-person LLC. It basically is a delineation between your private assets, funds, monies, things, and everything that the business is going to do. So LLC yourself, or don't, I don't care, but that's what I did. Number 2, with that LLC, you're going to also want to get your EIN number or your tax ID number, and with that, you can get a bank account. This is so important, bank account. You want to have all your funds and all your purchasing power for your business separate from your individual stuff, because if you commingle funds with your private stuff and your business stuff, if you were to get sued, they will pull and subpoena all your bank records, and if they can find commingling of funds, they can basically just snake their way over into your private property and your stuff. So even if you're LLC'd, you got to be careful, because if you do not keep that delineation strong between that's my stuff and this is my business stuff, if you leave a pathway between these two things, it can come back to bite you. So super important, have a bank account with all your purchasing power, funds, and everything attached to it for your business. Keep that separate. With your bank account, if you are a cash buyer, you will then use that bank account to purchase your equipment. Because again, we talked about commingling funds. If that equipment belongs to you and not your business, that is your personal liability, even if you are an LLC. So purchase your equipment with your business's funds. After you have purchased your equipment, you can get your insurance and commercial truck and general liability. Now, the reason that it has to be in this order clearly is because you cannot insure something you don't own. But once you insure this, make sure that if you fall under any DOT, whether it be federal or state requirements, that all the DOT has, all the DOTs, the states and the federal DOT, I believe the federal DOT as well, I'm sure it does, they have insurance minimum requirements. Ensure that you insure your equipment and your commercial truck insurance meets that general liability. I think in Alabama where I was, it's like $300,000 for per person or something. I don't know. I got it all written down. But make sure that your insurance meets the DOT requirements if you fall under DOT requirements. I don't, but I still purchased the DOT minimum amount. So insurance, meeting the DOTs after you've purchased your equipment, because you got to know what you're going to insure. You're going to insure your truck and your trailers. Ensure that you've got it to the DOT standards or the DOT minimums, because it would suck if you like turned in all your paperwork to the DOT and they're like, dude, this is not enough. Then you'd have to go back and get another quote and get everything written up again. So once you do that, once you have your insurance, you can file with the DOT to get your DOT authorization. Whether it's state or federal. Again, in my state, under 26,000, I'm not required it. Some states do require under 26,000 to have it. And then after that, after your insurance and everything and your DOT is filed and you have all that and you've got everything in place, you should also look at any kind of license you might need for your city or state. So a business license or whatever. If your county, city, or state requires an individual business license, you'll want to do that too. And you can actually probably put that up here with after you purchase your equipment. And then next is marketing. You're going to want to figure out how you're going to get your business in front of the right people as often as you can to get them to know you're there and ready to provide a service. Whether that's marketing can be old school, right? Like driving around to a job site. You see a guy down the street building a house, go talk to him. You know, you want to do, I think it's kind of old school and I don't think many people do it, but like door hangers and all that stuff, I don't know if that's the way, but I think most of it's internet nowadays. And then the last thing is just take that money, but make sure you've got a bank account that you can deposit that money into so you're not commingling funds. So get your LLC, get your bank account, purchase your equipment, insure your equipment to the DOT minimums if you do fall under DOT requirements, get your DOT authorization, and then spend your money on marketing, and then just go to work. That's the flow I'm at right now, and this is where I'm at right now. I'm right here. My insurance is going to be purchased. I've got a few really good quotes. I'm trying to shop it out, and man, this is the big part right here. And this is also why everybody gets undercut, is because someone's gonna pop up down the street and decide that they're just gonna do it with grandpa's trailer or whatever. And I appreciate your hustle, but this is what delineates the professional or the business from the hustler. Not dogging on the hustler, but are you insured? And I also mentioned general liability, or if I didn't mention general liability, you need general liability for your business. That amount is up to you, however you decide to insure your business. So that's the order that I'm thinking is going to work. That's the order I'm taking my business. That's where I'm at. Everything's starting to line up. So so I hope that explains some things. I know there's a lot of questions that show up on the Dumpster 101 page, and guys kind of seem to be like all over the place. Like, how do I do this? What do I do? Blah, blah, blah. And like some of the questions are putting the cart before the horse. So I'm like, let's flow chart this thing and see like, what do we need to do first? What makes sense more? Let's get our education right, and then we'll start spending money so we can make some money. Whew, oh, it's hot in the shop. I do have some AC coming in here though. I bought one of those Mr. Cool mini splits and I got it over here. I'm just waiting for the right time. I poured the pad in the back, but dude, it's just so hot. So forgive all of this. But anyways, I hope that was super helpful, or even maybe just a little bit helpful. It was helpful for me to actually just sit and talk about it. And I think that's a lot of the purpose of this channel for me is to get things out there, to get your feedback on them and see if it's right or wrong. I don't know. This is outside of real estate. This is my first business. And I mean, real estate is not really, depends on how you take it, but I'm just a landlord. I'm not like, I don't own like apartment complexes or anything. So my real estate is really, there's no business attached to it or anything. I just do it under my own social security number, which I may not, maybe I shouldn't, I don't know. But so this is my first kind of foray into actual business. So like I said, if it's right or wrong, indifferent, please let me know. I'm open for feedback. But I wanted to lay this out and at least share my experiences so far in the order that I'm doing things. Maybe it's right or wrong. Anyways, things are looking up. I've got four guys at work so far that want bins that have hit me up. Hey man, how much has it been? I need a bin, I'm doing a clean out, blah, 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 this and that. And I think that's where we're all gonna start. We're all gonna start with our friends and family that needing bins, and then, just grow from there. So I'm excited to see the growth of this business and of your business, of this channel, of Dumpster 101 Group, which I'm really a huge fan of. So you guys stay cool, stay safe, and we'll talk soon. See ya.